Hi, everyone. So my name is GJ Melendez-Torres. I'm Professor of Clinical and Social Epidemiology at the University of Exeter, and we're here to talk about leveling up with postgraduate study. So briefly, I'll just talk a little bit about my own journey through postgraduate study, and then Karen will do the same, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the options that are available to you if you're considering doing a master's degree or doing a doctorate or doing a PhD after your first degree. So, as I said, my job is I'm a professor of clinical and social epidemiology. And so the path to get there meant that I did a master's degree and then I did a PhD as well. And my PhD was in the field of social epidemiology, and I worked primarily on substance use and sexual risk behavior. And I did some research in public health around that. I decided to do a PhD because I realized that I wanted to level up, that there was more that I wanted to learn and more that I wanted to know about public health. I did my PhD in public health in social epidemiology, and then I started working as an academic. My own background is I'm a nurse by qualification, so I qualified as a registered nurse. And after doing some practice in public health, as I said, I realized that I wanted to do a little bit more research just to kind of up my skills and to focus more on my ability to generate and apply knowledge rather than just working clinically. So Karen, over to you.
Everyone, hope you can hear me all right. So as DJ said, my name is Karen Mattick. I work with DJ at the University of Exeter Medical School, which sits within the College of Medicine and Health. We thought it would be useful just to say a little bit about our backgrounds each, just to give some sort of insights into the things we've done and our motivations for further study. So I started with a bachelor's degree in microbiology. Then I left university and worked for a little while in various roles, and thought, like DJ, decided I wanted to learn more, specialise, follow my interest. So I then did a master's degree in clinical microbiology and epidemiology. So in a way that was helping to, I've just seen a note saying my audio is unclear. Let me try something. Does that work better?
Oh, that's much better.
Okay, all right. So I will continue. I very briefly, I talked about my first degree in microbiology, going out to work, then doing a master's degree in clinical microbiology. And my motivation for doing that, like DJ, was to specialise, follow my interest, learn more. I then decided to continue that line of specialism, if you like, and I did a PhD in clinical microbiology and epidemiology, worked for a bit longer, and then did another master's degree in education research. So that was a slightly different motivation because at that time I was then changing track slightly, so I was moving into a slightly different field. So, as GJ said, we're going to cover a few slides first. I'm going to talk broadly about postgraduate study, and then GJ is going to talk particularly about some of our latest developments, and we'll be covering a little bit about funding and different types of postgraduate study. So, GJ, could you advance the slides?
Sure.
So we've talked a little bit about this, but one question is why study at postgraduate level? So you can follow your passion, you can specialise, you can open career doors or other kinds of doors, and you can develop networks. Next slide, please, GJ. So just to make sure that we've got a common language, there are different levels of postgraduate study, and you might see these terms. So master's degree is said to be at level 7, whereas doctorates, PhDs, MDs are at level 8. And there's different sizes of studies. So at level 7, you can do a postgraduate certificate, which is 60 credits, postgraduate diploma, which is 120 credits, or a master's degree, which is 180 credits. So you'll often hear those terms used. So they're all at the same level, PG Cert, PG Dip, Masters. They're all the same level, but they're different extent. Next slide, please, GJ. Can you advance to the next slide, GJ?
Oh, is it not? There we go. Is that better?
Okay. Yes, I can see that. And could you mute your mic? So the next question is when to study. You can study as part of your undergraduate degree. For example, an intercalated degree for medical students. You can also very often find intercalated sort of integrated run-through master's undergraduate degree, such as an MSci nursing. So these are both degrees that we offer at Exeter. Quite a few people will also go on to study a master's degree straight after an undergraduate degree. An example of that at Exeter is very often people who are going to go on to do a PhD might do an MSc Health Research Methods first. Some people go straight on to a doctorate from undergraduate, although increasingly commonly people will do a master's first. Some people will go on to study an early career. So some of the kinds of degrees people do at early career might be a master's in public health, which we're going to come on to talk about, or masters in health data science. So they're really ways of demonstrating your specialism or your particular interest in that area. And other people will go on to do further study when they're more established in a career. And examples at Exeter of those options are things like Masters in Advanced Clinical Practice, where many professionals at a particular stage of their clinical careers want to consolidate what they're doing, or Masters in Healthcare Leadership and Management. And we have a Masters of Extreme Medicine at Exeter, which very often health professionals, doctors, paramedics, etc., want to do something just a bit different later on in their careers. That right-hand column there highlights possible funding sources. So there's been a question about funding in the chat, I can see. So many people self-fund in postgraduate study, but there are many options to look at because there can be some ways of funding. I'll talk about our scholarships at Exeter, but there will be equivalents in wherever you are looking. So, for example, for people continuing straight on from undergraduate study, we offer an alumni scholarship. For some of our specific master's degree, we have specific scholarships. So the HDR UK scholarship is for those wanting to study our MSc Health Data Science. And there are some more generic scholarships, and I've written, we've got a PVC's NHS scholarship. And there are also increasing opportunities with degree apprenticeships as well as a funding source. And some universities will have a kind of a higher degree funding or contribution to funding through something like a faculty development fund. So next slide, please, GJ.
Has that one come up?
Yes, that's come on now. And would you turn your mic off, GJ?
Oh, I thought I had, sorry.
I did, well. Oh, that sounds better. Good. That's nice. I'm not hearing an echo now. So the other thing we thought it would be useful to just mention is to think about how to choose a course. If you are deciding to do postgraduate study, how are you going to choose? So I think the first thing to do is to decide why you want to study further. Is it to specialise? Is it to develop your career? Is it to develop a network? Because that's going to affect where and what programme you study. The second thing to think about is how much time and funding you have to put to something. So you may, if you're going to do this alongside work, a PG cert may be more realistic than a master's degree, full time at least. And then I think another thing to really think about is traditional versus blended versus online delivery. Are you somebody who really wants the structure of being sit down and going through lectures in a traditional format? Are you somebody that's happy to do quite a bit alone, independently, but really wants some contact time and to feel part of a cohort? Or are you somebody that really wants to study fully online? Those are important choices. And then, and only then, do you think about who, and by who I mean which institution, who does this, who offers this program in a very high quality way, what are their particular strengths of that organisation, who teaches on the program, and who will you be studying with. Next slide, please, GJ. So this is just a summary slide. I'm not proposing to talk through all 10 of the degrees that we offer at Exeter. So this is really just to give you the headlines of what we do. So we have 10 master's degrees on offer. All of our master's degrees you could also study as a postgraduate diploma or a postgraduate certificate. Because if you remember from earlier, they're all at the same level. It's an extent, they're all level 7. It's how much of these topics you do that determines whether it's a PG Cert, PG Dip or Masters. So just to run those through, we have a MSc Environment and Human Health, which is based in our Truro campus. The other degrees are based out of our Exeter campuses: Clinical Education, Health Research Methods, Healthcare Leadership and Management, Genomic Medicine, Advanced Clinical Practice, Extreme Medicine, Clinical Pharmacist. On the block that we're going to go on to talk about a little bit today is our Masters in Public Health and our MSc Health Data Science. Next slide, please, GJ.
Okay, so can I just check everyone can hear me? Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Great, super. Okay, so thanks very much, Karen. So we're just going to walk through our new Master of Public Health and Health Data Science, partly because we think these are really good options for people who are seeking to do postgraduate study in the health professions generally. So our Master of Public Health is new. It's a professional degree. And what we mean by that is that it's not necessarily a research degree. It's designed to prepare you to be a public health leader. And so our program is research-led and practice-led. What we mean by that is that we have a really strong focus on the kinds of problems, issues, situations, things that you'll encounter in public health leadership and practice. And the way that we teach this master's degree really reflects that. We have a range of signature modules that really speak to the way that people actually deal with public health problems in the 21st century. If you're looking to have a professional career in public health, we've designed the master's degree so students would have the knowledge needed to undertake the exams they need to undertake to work in public health. And we've developed this against the leading international standards for public health teaching and learning. Something that's really unique about our Master of Public Health, or MPH program, is that we've done it in association with the University of Exeter Business School. What this means is that you have 2 top institutes contributing to a really innovative and exciting practice-led master's degree. There are 3 things, again, that make our MPH so different from other offerings. And those are that we have a focus throughout on complexity, on the kinds of complex problems you're going to face in public health leadership, on preparing you with the skills you need to really make a difference, and on teaching you the research skills you need to make evidence-based, scientifically sound decisions in public health. So our MPH degree is research-facing, but is professionally led. And so the idea, again, is that you'll be equipped with the research-based knowledge you need to make a difference in public health practice. There are several modules in our degree that are really unusual and that aren't offered anywhere else in the UK. One of the modules that really makes our master's degree stand out is planetary health. And planetary health includes medical sociology, global health, and environmental health, all of which are areas that our medical school is world leading in. We also have a module on behavior change, which really incorporates the latest science, the latest methods, the latest innovation on how to change population health through influencing health behavior. Our program is integrated and can be taken in 1 year or 2 years, full-time or part-time, appropriately. And what you'll notice is that we have modules at the start and end that are intensive modules that are designed to really get you up to speed quickly in terms of how do people think in the language of public health. We have 2 modules that run over the year. Those are analytics. In other words, how do you use data to support decision-making, and leadership strategy and change. How do you use decision-making to drive improvements in public health? In term 1, we have modules on epidemiology and planetary health. And in term 2, we have behavior change. And then we have master classes, which are a really unusual feature of our degree. These are specific opportunities to go in depth in an area that is of greatest interest to you as a developing public health expert. And then finally, the integrative policy and practice exercise is a module where we bring in our world-leading experts from the business school and from the medical school to support you in developing your professional skills as a public health practitioner. We also have a new master's degree in health data science, and this degree will support you in engaging with the kinds of complex health data problems we have. How do we develop insights, and how do we develop new ways of understanding health issues using the statistical tools at our disposal? This degree is funded by Health Data Research UK, and it's a chance to learn and apply quantitative skills in a health and medical setting, even if you've had no experience in health, medicine, or biology. So you're welcome to contact us. We're always happy to hear from you. And if you email the address, you'll be put in touch with one of us to help answer your question. And now we're happy to take any questions that you might have. Okay, I think we can take questions in the chat. Are there any questions coming through in the chat for us? What sort of level of math for the modeling is required? Okay, so that's a really useful. So we expect to have some math background, but we're not expecting people to be math graduates. And so that's an important distinction because it means that obviously you need to be ready and prepared to engage with quantitative skills to do well in the course, but you're not required to be a math graduate.
Well, just to add, on the website, there is a little bit of an opportunity to try the computer programming skills so that you'll know skills you already have are appropriate for the program. So you're very welcome to contact the lead for the health, particularly think about the MSc Health Data Science. You can contact the program lead, Professor Tim Frayling, directly, and you can look on the website to see if your kind of level of maths and kind of programming potential is there. But we're very keen to talk to people about their backgrounds and what they need. So I think the next.
So Phoebe, that's a really. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So the difference between a master's, PGT certificate, or diploma. So, as Karen said, the key difference between them is the amount of study that you undertake. So generally, the smaller ones with fewer degrees, you're taking fewer modules, and then a master's degree usually includes the full modules that you need to take for that degree, in addition as a research project. Karen, would you add anything to that?
No, it's really extent. So it's the amount of work and the amount of time. So in general, what we say is that 1 credit is equivalent to 10 hours of study. So if you're talking about a PG Cert, which is 60 credits, you're talking about 600 hours of study. And obviously a master's degree is 3 times that. So it's not about a diploma being harder than a certificate. They're at the same level. It's really just the amount. Many of the programs have got some kind of compulsory modules, and you'd need to take those regardless of whether it's a certificate, diploma, or a master's, because they're the kind of foundational things. But within many of the programs, there might be 1 or 2 15-credit core modules, and then you can choose a bit more.
So Piers asked, are there any particular programming languages that would be useful, tend to be used in modeling? So in the health data science program, I think they spend a lot of time working with R as a fairly standard statistics package, but they also do a lot of work with Python as well, which is an area of particular expertise for our operational research group. Okay, any other questions about PGT?
Was it master's level degrees that people were interested in general, or did people also want to talk about PhDs? Because we'd also be very happy to answer questions about PhDs, either our own personal experience or at Exeter.
Hi there again, guys. I think it'd be really beneficial to get any insights that you've got surrounding postgraduate study in general. I think it'd be quite interesting to hear about your thoughts on whether or not people should be looking to pursue a master's and how that adds to career development in the future. That'd be great to get some thoughts on that.
DJ?
Oh no, Karen, after you.
I mean, we would say this, wouldn't we? Because we have both decided to pursue further study. I think it does add a lot of different things. So personally, it gives you confidence in what you know. So there is something about the credentializing of what you've studied. So holding a degree or having studied a body of knowledge, I think that is helpful in terms of your confidence in your own knowledge and abilities. I think the networking part, so for me, a blended approach works well, because although I'm quite self-motivated and happy to work alone, I get an awful lot out of working together with people as well and feeling part of a cohort. So I think the networks part is often something people don't think about when they're applying, but actually thinking about who are you studying with, what health professional backgrounds, who are the educators, what community are you becoming part of through doing this further study. I think that's kind of an underestimated part of the postgraduate study experience. And I think, yesterday we had a whole day of our Masters in Clinical Education students presenting their dissertation that they've been working on for a year, and actually seeing how they've come on in terms of their confidence in being research users and undertaking research themselves, seeing how confident they are to critique things in a very constructive way. I really do think there was a lot of benefit of that. PhD study is a slightly different thing again, and I think everybody's PhD is a completely different journey. My PhD was in a lab-based discipline, and we had a very sociable time as part of a tight-knit team, and we learned very much through work. So we were working with externally funded projects. But I think people have very different experiences. So maybe DJ could say something about his PhD experience.
Sure. So I think, as I said at the start of the talk, one of the reasons I decided to undertake a PhD was because I wanted to move from reading the research to actually doing the research, and to kind of creating the knowledge in my chosen area. And for me, that area was public health. I also did do a master's degree, and for me, I found that my master's degree, which I did mostly blended, which I did kind of in a blended format, that was more helpful for the professional skills that I was hoping to get. So from a professional perspective, I think master study is really helpful. From a research perspective, and I think also from a perspective of being an academic or generating the knowledge, I think a PhD is really helpful as well.
Might be worth just saying as well that the distinction between level 7, master's level, and level 8 is really about your own new contribution to knowledge. So at doctorate level, level 8, you are supposed to be pushing the boundaries forward and making a novel contribution yourself. Whereas at master's level, it's more at the level of critical engagement, creating an argument, etc. So that's kind of the distinction between those two levels.
Any other questions in the chat?
Doesn't look like we've got any other questions coming in just at the moment. Oh, no, there is. So I'll let you guys address.
Sure. Okay. So what type of numerical skills would you need to show? So I think if you're hoping to do a degree in something really quantity like health data science, I think you'd need to show probably some type of engagement in math. I think for MPH and for that kind of a degree, I think we're kind of looking for the kinds of numerical skills that you would show in the course of the sciencey bachelor's degree. So if you're doing a BSc in biomedicine, presumably you've taken something like data handling or data interpretation. And that would be appropriate preparation. And I think the same thing is for health data science, right? If you've done really well in a module like data handling and interpretation or data analysis or introductory statistics, you'd probably be in a good position to apply to that program.
I think if your interest is health data science, what I'd recommend is going on to our website and trying out the practice problems that are on there. And I would email directly Professor Tim Frayling, who's the program lead, and his contact details are on the website. He, as GJ said, people don't have to be maths graduates, but they do need to show a potential and an appetite for the kind of numerical and programming aspects of the MSc Health Data Science. But as GJ says, for any of the other masters, the expectations in terms of quantitative is much less, and many people will take a pathway through some of the programs. So for example, our MSc Health Research Methods, although we do ask people to do a bit of stats, people can also take a route where they choose modules in qualitative research or health economics, other things. There's a good point there about Khan Academy. So there's another question which is about whether medical graduates pursue a master's degree. The answer is yes. They're a large proportion of our master's cohorts. We have quite a large number of intercalating medical students. So in Exeter, people intercalate between years 4 and 5. So a lot of, because after 4 years of study, they could exit with a bachelor's degree. That means that when they intercalate between years 4 and 5, they can do a master's degree. So we've got a large number of intercalators on some of our programs. So for example, the MSc Clinical Education is really popular with intercalators. So is our Masters in Genomic Medicine and also the MSc Health Research Methods. Later on in careers, we do see a lot of medical graduates at various different stages. And as we say, sometimes it's about specialising and sort of showing that you are a doctor with a particular interest in health data science or a particular interest in genomic medicine or public health. And sometimes a bit later on still, perhaps when people are in leadership management positions and want a degree, a master's in healthcare leadership and management, or that they are just trying to, you know, kind of renew their interest in medicine. So in our MSc Extreme Medicine, we see quite a lot of doctors slightly later on in their careers who've got into expedition medicine, festival medicine, and just want to travel with medicine. So they travel all around the world to Arctic regions, jungle regions, dive medicine. So they just do some different kind of things. And I think it's part of that is just about rekindling interest in the topic. Do you want to take that next question, GJ? Start and I can always chip in.
Question is, would you advise to do a management or business module during a master's combined to biosciences to be able to go into senior roles in academia? So, I mean, I think that's certainly helpful, but if you're hoping to go into a senior role in academia, I think the general expectation is that you'll do a research doctorate. I would probably suggest that you go down that route if you'd like to be a senior person in academia. And what we generally see is that people who hold those posts, especially if they want to hold a senior role in a medical school, obviously have medical training, but they also have research doctorates as well, so PhDs.
Just to add, in Exeter, and I'm sure other, I mean, we're talking about Exeter because we know Exeter, because that's where we are, but I'm sure other places are the same. But thinking about my own degrees, they probably haven't helped me with the kind of the management and the business side of a senior academic role. They have been more about the pathway to that senior role. As GJ says, the expectation probably would be a PhD. However, most universities and colleges will support people as they move into more senior academic roles with the kind of skills they would need. And that might be in terms of short courses, or I've just finished a leadership course funded by the university. But we also encourage some of our own staff and our PhD students to sit in on our MSc modules sometimes. So for example, one of the modules I'm hoping to sit in at some point is the health economics module, because I think that would be really interesting for my role in academia to have a better handle on how that all works. But I also think it would really benefit my research in medical education, because there's very little economics research going on in that area. Sure, if we answered that question about MS, what's an MSL role? I'm not sure if we've answered that question very well, because I'm not sure what an MSL role is.
Nor am I, I'm afraid.
And unfortunately, neither do I. I don't know if Gulben can, medical science liaison, that's something I've heard of. I don't know if that.
Okay, so if you're hoping to be a medical science liaison, it's probably more appropriate, not so much in business and management, but to do modules in health technology assessment, which includes things like health economics, clinical effectiveness, clinical trials, because those are really the kinds of content skills that are needed in that role, especially if you're hoping and working in medical affairs or in market access. So it may be that if you're hoping to do a master's degree to convert, so to speak, after a PhD into that area, it may be that you want to do an MPH. I would say that, but you would want to do an MPH, or you would want to do a master's degree in healthcare leadership and management with a focus on health technology assessment to support moving into that area.
So I think if you were looking for further study, one of the things I would recommend you do is look for the flexibility of portfolio. So some master's degrees will have a very sort of predetermined set of modules that goes through it. And if that's the case, you'll obviously need to make sure that the combination is right for you. I think in some degrees, so something you might want to ask about is how much flexibility there is to do a core of modules relating to the name of your award, but whether you can bring in other things, because as DJ says, I can see how a combination of modules, perhaps from leadership and management, perhaps from clinical trials, perhaps from health technology assessment, I can see how quite a tailored portfolio might work quite well with you. So do ask these questions when you come to apply for programs. People like myself, GJ, Kirsty Mushings, our amazing admissions lady who's in on the chat, all of us be delighted to speak to you, if you have particular questions.